So apparently, one of the things that Pilate did that made him very unpopular was that he killed, while they were down in Jerusalem, offering their sacrifices in the temple, Pilate sent his soldiers to quell, to do something, but they ended up killing these Galileans. And that made Herod very angry, because Pilate was doing something that wasn't his business to do. If they were doing something wrong, he should have arrested them and notified Herod. So that's why it says from that day on they were friends. Apparently, this common enmity of Jesus to Jesus sealed their friendship, because they were enemies before. And it may have been things like what Pilate did to those Galileans who were on pilgrimage down to Jerusalem to perform their sacrifices. So that's just kind of an interesting thing, again, where Luke says something earlier and sort of finishes it up here. So, I'm not going to go into details on the trial before Pilate. You can read that. There's a lot of sermons there, especially in John. You've got that long dialogue. I'm going to point out two things that I find kind of interesting about this trial before Pilate and the outcome of it. The first is in Matthew, second column, bottom of page 6, in that rather dense paragraph there, right in the middle, verse 19. Pilate was having his difficulty because he knew that the high priests were not being honest in their handing over Jesus. He knew that he was innocent. And then Matthew is the only one who brings in Pilate's wife. So there must have been some kind of story going around about Pilate's wife. That Pilate's wife sends a message to him and says, "Have nothing to do with that innocent man, for today I have suffered a great deal because of a dream about him." Matthew seems to be the gospel of dreams. Remember, at the beginning, the angel appears to Joseph as a dream. And at the end, there is a dream that Pilate's wife has. Again, that's the way that writers will very often, create bridges. That as this whole thing started with a dream of Joseph, two dreams actually, so too a dream features here at the end. And it is that dream that shows that not only Pilate, but also his wife, pagans, recognized Jesus more for who he was than the Jews to whom he came. And that certainly is one of the recurring themes in the Gospels. He came to his own, and his own received him not. And then periodically you've got these things like the Magi in Matthew, and at the end also the recognition of Jesus as the King of the Jews. In fact, the King of the Jews in Matthew is used only at the very beginning in the infancy narratives, and then at the end in the accusation against Jesus and the sign on the cross. The other point I'd like to make about this trial before Pilate is about Barabbas. Because Barabbas is also mentioned by name in all four Gospels. And that's a little bit unusual. And yet, and the name is a rather unusual name because literally it means Son of the Father. And so here you have, on the one hand, Jesus, who is the true Son of the Father. And on the other hand, here is this Barabbas, whose name also means Son of the Father. Now, we can't take that too terribly literally, because Abba was not, it meant father, but it also was a name. And so Bar-Abba or Barabbas was not an uncommon name, which would mean Son of the Father. In fact, it was, there were stories and puns about somebody, whose name was Abba Bar-Abba. Well, we've got several of those Abba Barabbas in town. Which one do you mean? Well, the one that's Abba Barabba Barabba. And, they'd have a lot of fun with that on, cold winter nights and that sort of thing. There is also, Raymond Brown points out, and this is kind of interesting, and this is Brown's speculation, but, when Brown makes speculations, he is such a conservative scripture scholar that there is always some kind of, you want to take this a little seriously. But I had never known this. That there are some manuscripts that identify Barabbas, because Barabbas is a last name. It's sort of like Abba's son, father's son. If somebody were named John, father's son, is the sort of thing. Like William's son and John's son and that sort of thing. So, that his first name was Yeshua, or Jesus. That appears, he says, in some manuscripts. In most of the manuscripts it doesn't. Now there would have been an interesting parallel here in the original telling of the story if the one who gets released is Yeshua Barabbas in place of Yeshua, the Son of the Father. And what is he guilty of? He is guilty of the exact thing that they are falsely accusing Jesus of. Bringing about a dangerous insurrection against Rome in which people were killed. Basically, he was a terrorist. But it's rather delicious irony there, isn't it? So, whether that's actually true or not, but what Brown speculates is, because it's attested to in some manuscripts, the majority not, that it may have been actually in some of the original documents and thought, oh no, for them to have the same name, that's too much for us, and that it may have been taken out of the majority of documents rather than put in. But it's all that speculation is always fun. Okay, let's move on. Yeah.
But, what was aside from the name, what was the reason for releasing Barabbas instead?
Oh, what was the reason for releasing Barabbas? I'm glad that you mentioned that, because it says here, in one way or another, in a couple of them anyway, that it was the custom at the holiday time to release, for Pilate to release a prisoner.